Welcome students, we are discussing the aspects of Indian society from various perspectives and its different institutions in this paper on Sociology of India 1. Here we are discussing one of the major institutions of the Indian social structure, that is religion. Within the religions in India, we are dealing mainly with three main religions. They are Hinduism, Islam and Sikhism. In this week's class, we are looking into the religion Islam. In the first module, we have seen a brief introduction to Islam and Islamization process through conversion and migration. This gave a base for understanding how religion from outside entered India. A new religion in a country cannot be popularized in a country without extraordinary effort. In India, though there are several theories of how religion gets into the country, the role of the Sufis and Sufism plays a greater role in the spread of the religion. In this module, we will be dealing with the following. What is the Sufi movement? Sufi Silsilas or orders, the major Silsilas followed in India. Then we will be seeing Chishtiya order, Kanhas, Langar, Sufi teachers from Chishtiya order and their impact on the Indian social structure. Then we will be seeing the other main Sufi orders that is being practiced in India, that is Qadriya, Shurawardiya and Naqshbandi order. The Islamic world in India started its grounds in the 7th century with the advent of Islam from Arabs as merchants. Later, there were invasions and the formation of Delhi Sultanate, which expanded in many parts of the subcontinent. Followed by this was the establishment of the Mughal Empire in the 16th century. All religions have recognized norms, rules, regulations and values. In Islam, the rulers were mainly guided by the ulama. These ulama are scholars who are well versed in Islamic studies and considered as custodians of the Islamic religious traditions, teachings, functions, etc. As a part of their guidance, ulama was expected to help the Muslim ruler to be ruled according to the Sharia. The Sharia is the Muslim community's governing law and is based on the Quran. It is viewed as the expression of God's command for Muslims. When put into practice, it creates a set of obligations that are obligatory for all Muslims due to their shared religious conviction. Sharia means path leading to the watering place. It is a guiding principle for a divine path toward a practical expression of religious conviction in this world of Muslims. Islam as a religion has several sects and Sufis are one of the known groups. They are religiously inclined individuals who turned to asceticism and mysticism in the early centuries of Islam. They were a religious group to protest against the caliphate's raising materialism as a political and religious institution. The Sufis criticized the theologians' use of dogmatic terminology and scholarly approaches to interpreting the Quran and Sunnah, that means traditions of the Prophet. Now we can see the sects of Islam. Before discussing Sufism, we can briefly introduce the sects that are found among the popular Islamic tradition. Basically, the Muslim world can be divided into Shia and Sunni Muslim. The core difference between the two sects is the succession of Prophet Muhammad is one group and the other one is the religious authority in Islam after him. According to the Shias, Ali, the son-in-law of Prophet, was the rightful heir and the right person to become a Khalifa. They believed that Ali was the Prophet Muhammad's choice to head the Muslims. In turn, Ali chose his successors or Imams. They are an Islamic minority sect that makes up around a tenth of world's Muslim population. They are primarily found in Iran, Iraq, Bahrain and Lebanon. The major sect of Islam, the Sunnis, upholds the authority of the first four caliphs. According to them, the caliphate is not passed down through heredity and the succession is not based on descent or the relationship that one has with the Prophet. Here, among Sunnis, the community has the power to identify the caliph within themselves to lead. Now we can see what is this Sufi movement is. The word Sufi is likely to be derived from the Arabic word that is suf, which denotes one who wears wool. Wool and woolen cloths are generally linked with Puritans. Apart from this, another Arabic word safa, which also means purity, is also considered for the etymological meaning of the term Sufism. The other terms for Sufi are wali, fakir and darwish. Sufism reflects Islam's mystical, inward looking side. Sufism can be defined as a way of life that combines traditional religious activities like daily prayers with a variety of supplemental spiritual observations like saint adoration or the chanting of God's divine qualities. Sufism also strongly emphasized ascetic practices, good deeds, prayers, pilgrimage, fasting, almsgiving and repentance for sin. Sufis are religious persons who put emphasis on finding salvation through devotion and love for God by following the Prophet Muhammad's approach and methods. They consider Prophet as a perfect human being. Sufis' interpretation of Quran was based on their own life experience. Arabia was the place of origin of Sufism, and in due course of time the idea of Sufism spread over to other Islamic countries. Sufi thought and the mystical practices and the abilities of many Muslim Sufis strengthened it. Sufism, a spiritual aspect of Islam, served as a major conduit for the religion's growth on all fronts. Notably, it influenced atheists and paved the way for establishing the Muslim culture. In the 12th century and the 13th centuries, in the central provinces of Islam, Sufism was established in a full-fledged manner after strengthening and stabilizing the main Sufi orders. The Sufi orders are broadly divided as Bashara, which means those who followed Islamic law, and Bezara, those who were more open-minded and not bound by Islamic law. Sufism and its orders. Sufism has existed in Muslim communities for more than 12 centuries, approximately during the same period as the Prophet Muhammad. During the 11th and 12th centuries, Sufism evolved as a movement with its own structure and functioning. By that time, they had specific literature and specific Sufi practices for themselves. They organized themselves as a community around khanha or hospice led by the masters. As a part of the Sufi movement, khanqahs became important centers for preaching and learning and served as a spiritual organization found on human knowledge and responsiveness. Khanqah means a dome of worship. Traditionally, Sufis were divided into several brotherhoods or mystical organizations, each of which had its own set of religious rituals, a lineage of saints and hierarchy of leaders. The leadership in each order is mainly hereditary and their spiritual genealogy is traced to the Prophet. Those positions were termed as Sheikhs, which is in Persian language, and Fir in Arabic language. Under Sufism, they were organized as 12 orders or Silsilas. The term Silsila means a chain. This indicates the continuity of spiritual genealogy stretching from Prophet Muhammad by linking masters and disciples. The Silsilas are orders by the connecting point to diffuse the spiritual power and blessings to the disciples and devotees. In India, there were four most popular Silsilas. They were Chishtis, Suravadis, Qadriyas and Naqshbandis. Now we can see one of the popular Silsila in Indian context, that is Chishti Silsila. Though India has four popular orders, one of the most prominent is Chishti. It was created as an order in India during 1143 to 1223 AD by Khaja Muhyiddin Chishti. The origin of this order can be traced to a small hamlet named Chishti in central Afghanistan during 930 AD. Now we can discuss Chishti Khanhas in India according to the views of Thamina Iqbal and Muzaffar Farid Chishti with reference to their work on Chishti Khanhas, a center of attraction to local community of medieval India. In medieval India, the Chishti Khanhas spread the universal message of love and peace. In Indian society, the respect for humanity for the marginalized was also addressed by this order, taking into account the message of Islamic brotherhood. Being a society driven by caste system, the role of Chishti Khanhas was welcomed by the oppressed and the deprived. The masters of this order did not accept the services received from the state. Service for humanity was the base over which they worked on. Chishti Khanhas in Indian subcontinent, the gurus of Chishti Sufi order disseminate through an efficient network of their Khanhas throughout the Indian subcontinent with the single principal goal of benefiting humanity at all levels. The term Khanha derives its meaning from two words etymologically. The two words in this term are also from both Arabic and Persian language. The Persian word Khana denotes a house and the Arabic word Kha means the practice or an act of worship. The name Zwaya, Ribats, Zamat, Hanas are similar to Khanha, which were used in the Sufi literature. But the idea conveyed did not correctly express the idea that the term Khanha indicates. Though a Khanha is a building, it is much more than that which is specifically connected to the gathering of the Sufi brotherhood. It serves as a center for spiritual instruction and character development. The Sufi movement started as a collective organization with small groups in the 8th century, with time developed with dwellings through Khanhas. The Khanhas were established in both rural and urban areas in the Islamic world from Central Asia, Iran to South Asia. Now we can see the functions of Khanhas. The Khanhas functioned as a spiritual institution created on human understanding, acceptance and receptiveness. Khanhas are adapted to get curing and spiritual serenity. They also worked as educational hub where the focus was on practical education. The purpose of the Khanha was also explained by the Sufi masters as follows: to train and educate people according to his temperament and principles, to provide a place for those who did not have a place to stay but wanted to dedicate themselves for the religion, to build a network of love and respect that they considered spiritual through eliciting knowledge and wisdom from different places and sources, to enhance peace for mystically weak, to help and support the needy irrespective of class and creed which is having the faithful space, to satisfy spiritual hunger through spiritual practices along with education. In a nutshell, the Khanha's role are spiritual and providing social assistance, which is both academic as well as cultural. The multidimensional roles of the Khanha influenced the people of different strata in Indian society during the medieval period. The practical way of following the Islamic principle of equivalence and brotherliness attracted the Indian public. The Sufis of this order were simple and their way of life was modest. This helped the Indian mass to associate themselves with this order without any difference or discrimination. The generous hospitality and the warmth shown by them welcomed more visitors throughout the country. In Chishti Khanhas, the residents, pilgrims and other visitors met with equality and were open to all communities. The communities involved were from all sections of society, from the commoner to the elite. The structure of the Chishti Khanha was designed in such a way that accommodated people from all spheres of life. The substance of Islamic teachings were put into practice by the Sisti Kanhas, and they played a significant role in the transformation of India's Hindu society, which is caste-based. Discrimination was evident. The Kanhas performed both religious as well as social roles. Now we can see the next important component of the Kanha, that is langar. The Kanhas had open kitchens, that is called as langar, run with unasked for charity. Futaw and offerings maintained these langar kitchens. Futaw in Arabic means gifts or offerings. These kitchens were kept open from morning till night for everyone free of cost. The people who used it were soldiers, slaves, singers, merchants, travelers, rich and poor, and people from any religion. It is so interesting that they came there not only for food but also for discipline, amulets and healing and other teachers' intervention in many aspects in their life. It is believed in the Sisti order that guests or visitors are to be offered any food when they are visiting them. Hence, the langar khana was always open to hungry people. Sufi teachers from Sisti order and their impact on the Indian social structure. There were several notable Sufi leaders from the Sisti order had made a remarkable interaction with the Hindu masses. These Sufi teachers were the first among the Muslim intellectual elite to interact with people from all sections of life in the Indian context because of their simple way of life. The way Sisti Kanhas are maintained and the langas created the space for extensive interaction between the Sisti Sufis and the public. Sufis loved to blend with the local Hindu people and pay attention to their happy and sad stories, bringing them closer and closer. They showed an attitude of tolerance and understanding which attracted Hindus from the deprived community. Their moderate and compassionate methodology and style made this possible for them. They believed in the notion of self-esteem and humanitarian concern. This distinct character of Sisti order moved them nearer to the general community. The Hindu notion of hierarchy and segregation contradicts the Islamic idea of extending brotherhood. Here we can see the Sisti Sufi teachers who strongly influenced India and Pakistan because of their contribution to the Islamic tradition. In India and Pakistan, the spread of Islam can be traced mainly to Sisti order. The teachers of Sisti adapted to the local environments and also to several features of Indian tradition, both devotional and non-devotional. The approach adapted by the Sisti Sufis was humanistic in nature, which impacted the Indian social order and culture. Casteism and the practice of untouchability were the aspects that the Sisti had influenced. Sufi leaders like Sheikh Nizamuddin Auliya played a significant role in spread of Islam in India. He had his Kanha on the banks of the river Yamuna, Ghiaspur, on the outskirts of what was then the city of Delhi. His teachings, practice and organization that assimilated to the local tradition made the activities of Sheikh rapid. He was respected by both the public and the nobility. Both the masses and the rulers sought his guidance. The kings expect his blessings and prayers for their victory in the ensuing battles. As his Kanha provided food and shelter to all the visitors, his hospice always remained crowded. The Sufi teachers of this order learned the local language to have a better rapport with the people. They fused music for teaching and practices, which is an effective communication tool for both Hindus and Muslims. Mystical poetry and music in the local language and tradition attracted the people. They used popular descriptions and expressions to communicate their thoughts in the Indian context, where they acculturated many customs and rituals of local tradition. The Sisti teachers kept themselves away from the ruling elite. They communicated hardly with the bureaucratic social hierarchy. The simplicity and alternative they have provided in the way of life, that is Islam, to the Indian population led to the increase in the number of Muslims in the subcontinent of India in general and medieval period in particular. Till now, we have seen the role of Chishtiya order in creating a greater influence on the Indian population in terms of religion. Now, we can see other influential orders in India, and these Sufi orders are prevalent even in contemporary Indian society. The first one is Qadriya order, which is followed in India as Qadriya. In honor of its founder Abdul Qadir Jilani, it was established. The Sufi of this order came to India from Persia Arab region too. Ni'amud Allah Qadri established this order in India, which was first practiced during the period of Babur. This order was popular during the Mughal period in the late medieval age. The eldest son of Mughal king Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh, was a great believer of this order. But during the reign of Aurangzeb, the Qadri order lost its patronage. In comparison to the other three major orders, the Qadriya order was less important in India. Next one is Suhrawardi order. Like the Chishti order, this order also entered India during the medieval period, and its activities were confined to the Punjab and Multan. This order was founded in the name of Sheikh Suhabuddin Suhrawardi Maktal. This order was established in India by Bahaddin Shaharia. Sheikh Sahabuddin Suhrawardi and Hamid Dutt Din Aguri were the most well-known saint of this order. Another influential saint was Saint Sheikh Fakhruddin Ibrahim Iraqi. He composed a treatise called Hammat, which is a commentary on the unity of being. Delhi Sultans from Alauddin Khilji to Muhammad bin Tughlaq highly respected him. It is to be noted here that the saints of this order did not keep themselves away from the state and the services rendered by the state as did by the saints of Chishti order. They did not believe in poverty driven life, hence they were closely associated with Delhi Sultanate and even held position in their court. They considered the gathering of wealth essential to offer better services to humanity. This order was popular only for a short time. The third one is Naqshbandiya. Naqshbandi is one of the largest Sufi orders in Sunni Islam. The Khaja Bahuddin Naqshband founded the order. They are found throughout the world. It has a wide range of branches and historically influenced politics and religion in Ottoman Empire and the Indian subcontinent. Babur propagated this order. He was deeply devoted to Naqshbandiya leader Khaja Ubaidullah Ahrar, a renowned disciple of founder Khaja Bahuddin Naqshband. The followers of this order were more conventional than other Sufi orders. Naqshbandiya order was less tolerant than other orders. They distinguished themselves from the other three orders as they traced their origin from first Caliph Abu Bakr, whereas the other orders claimed to be the descendants of Ali. They strongly emphasized eliminating the external elements, that is, the indigenous religious sneaked into Islam. The mission of Sufis travel through the Muslim empire would be to preach Islam to the native peoples of the conqueror lands. They did this to eradicate the pessimistic feelings of the losers. They took religion in hand as they wanted to bring the mass under their control, but they did not want to exercise force or coercion on them for it. This approach or strategy was welcomed in almost all countries, and it is the same with India too. To make their strategy successful, they closely interacted with the natives of the respective countries, which involved learning their customs, practices, language, etc. Learning Indian languages helped meaningful dialogues regarding literatures, indigenous knowledge, etc. Thus, Sufism as a movement played a crucial role in the mission of proselytism of Islam in India, and because of them, along with other reasons, Islam is the second largest religion in India.